Zhang Shaoqi raised her voice and said, I can keep an eye on all of Titan City with no more than 10 people, and you are one of them. In a few days, I need to do a guild mission. Are you coming? Zhou Zhang replied, no problem. While enjoying the breeze on his motorcycle, Zhou Zhang thought to himself, today's harvest isn't bad, perhaps I can consider buying a stall for Su Yunwen to keep her from getting bored at home every day. At that moment, Luo Tianyi poked his head out and ordered, break it down for me. The group of subordinates immediately began to ransack Zhou Zhang's house. Su Yunwen, inside, asked in shock, what do you want to do? Luo Tianyi wore a scheming expression and said, what do you think? Let's take her for some questioning. As Su Yunwen was taken away by the group, she screamed in fear, let me go. At that moment, Lan Shi angrily shouted for them to stop. He yelled furiously, you bastard. Let Su Butler go. Seeing this, Luo Tianyi sneered with contempt, oh, Zhou Zhang's dog. Luo Tianyi growled an order, kill him for me. A while later, when Zhou Zhang returned home, he heard the people around him buzzing with discussion, it's too tragic, who told you that the Luo family has such power? He sensed that something was off. Seeing Lan Shi sprawled on the ground, Zhou Zhang anxiously called out, Lan Shi. He hurried to assess the situation, only to hear Lan Shi weakly whisper, I'm sorry. I can't. Before she could finish her sentence, he staggered and spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhou Zhang was extremely shocked and shouted, Lan Shi. After admitting Lan Shi to the hospital, Zhou Zhang remained outside the operating room, his face showing clear signs of worry and tension. Once the surgery was over, Zhou Zhang rushed to the doctor and asked, Doctor, how is she? The doctor replied solemnly, her life has been saved, but her limbs may not recover. Looking at Lan Shi in the hospital room with her frail body, Zhou Zhang couldn't help but feel heartbroken. He remembered the whispers about the power of the Luo family, and he already knew in his heart who was behind this incident. It was Luo Tianyi. His eyes burned with the fire of revenge. That night, Zhou Zhang stormed the Luo family mansion. Standing on the stone wall, he coldly whispered, are you ready to face my wrath? Meanwhile, inside the mansion, Luo Tianyi licked his lips with a twisted expression, chuckling with delight, I've been waiting for you. He had bound Su Yunwen to a cross, grinning widely as he jeered, hee hee. Su Yunwen remained unconscious, completely unaware of her current predicament. One of the henchmen nearby bowed his head and asked, young master, shall we begin the interrogation? Luo Tianyi smirked cunningly and barked, get lost. What does this have to do with you? Stay away and don't make me uncomfortable. The fearful contact person replied, understood. Looking at Su Yunwen tightly bound, Luo Tianyi gritted his teeth and hissed to Zhou Zhang, I want you to regret this for the rest of your life. He splashed a bucket of water on Su Yunwen. Luo Tianyi sinisterly remarked, I must say, you are indeed a rare beauty of Titan City. He smirked, holding the dagger in his hand. Zhou Zhang must really like you, right? Just humiliating you isn't enough, I also want to ruin your beautiful face. At this point, he suddenly lowered the dagger. Luo Tianyi turned his head outside and shouted loudly, everyone get in here. Who told you to tie her up so high? After Su Yunwen was lowered to the chair, he brandished the dagger close to her face and threatened in a low voice, but as long as you agree to be my woman, I won't destroy you. Su Yunwen disdainfully spat a mouthful of saliva at Luo Tianyi's face, and he angrily shouted, you wanna die? Suddenly, a stream of fresh blood splattered on the ground. Zhou Zhang had arrived just in time and pressed the dagger against Luo Tianyi's neck, causing him to groan in pain. Zhou Zhang spoke, you are right about one thing. Then he warned in a low voice, you are looking for death. Hearing this, Luo Tianyi was so frightened that his face lost all color. At that moment, tears streamed down Su Yunwen's face. Zhou Zhang smiled gently and said, Yunwen, I'm late. Immediately, Su Yunwen embraced him tightly. Zhou Zhang gently patted her head, then he carried Su Yunwen away from the Luo family villa. He landed on a branch. After setting Su Yunwen down, Zhou Zhang carefully instructed, wait for me here, no matter what happens, do not make a sound. Su Yunwen anxiously said, young master, don't come back. However, Zhou Zheng firmly replied, I killed his son, things have reached a point where I cannot stop until I die. Hearing this, Su Yunwen had no choice but to let him go. Zhou Zheng softly reassured her, don't worry, wait for me to come back over here. Luo Guahai quietly asked, Bing, did Tian Yi go looking for Zhou Zheng today? The subordinate replied, yes, but he couldn't find him and brought back a woman instead. Upon hearing this, Luo Guahai angrily slammed the table and exclaimed, all day long, only thinking about women. Bing spoke up, then I'll go remind the young master. Luo Guahai, in a fit of rage, said, forget it, for now, don't. Before he could finish his sentence, a strange noise suddenly occurred. Bing quickly took a defensive stance and shouted, who is it? Luo Guahai snorted coldly from behind. He disdainfully said, not bad at hiding. Unfortunately, the level is too low. At that moment, a figure gradually emerged from the darkness. After getting a clear look, Luo Guahai exclaimed in surprise, are you Zhou Zhang? Bing beside him immediately spread his arms to protect the leader. Zhou Zhang replied coldly, that's right. He thought to himself, is this the aura of a rank 8 martial artist? Fortunately, I did some investigation at the guild before coming here. Luo Guahai casually sat down and ordered, very well, kill him. Bing responded, Then, Bing charged fiercely towards his opponent. Zhou Zheng calmly identified the opening and dodged, simultaneously launching a powerful counterattack. Luo Guahai took a drag from his cigarette and commented, your speed is indeed very fast, but your attacks are merely a tickle to Bing. At that moment, Bing disdainfully smirked, Suddenly, he realized something was off. Bing turned around and discovered a large gash on his back. Zhou Zhang thought, the system skill is a force damage mechanism, no matter how thick your skin is, it won't help. At this point, Bing, infuriated, charged forward while shouting, die. Luo Guahai anxiously watched the scene unfold, sweat pouring down like a stream. In an instant, Zhou Zhang successfully countered, causing Bing to cry out in pain, Fa. After taking down the subordinate, Zhou Zhang turned to Luo Guahai and said in a low voice, it's your turn. Luo Guahai stood up, his voice calm yet powerful, the young man indeed has some peculiar tricks. Then, he suddenly shouted loudly, but you are too arrogant. The force emanating from Luo Guahai's body erupted violently, causing the stone table to shatter into numerous pieces. The loud noise startled the subordinates outside. A few of them whispered to each other, realizing the sound came from the leader's room. Immediately, they shifted into a state of alertness, preparing to respond. Outside, Su Yunwen heard the commotion and couldn't hide her worry. She called out loudly, young master. In her heart, she silently prayed, hoping nothing adverse would occur. Inside the room, Luo Guahai spoke in a threatening, confident tone, here, there are at least 30 rank 4 martial artists or higher. Even if you sprouted wings, it would be difficult for you to escape. Zhou Zhang remained unruffled, a smirk playing on his lips as he replied sarcastically, did I say I wanted to escape? As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura erupted from Zhou Zhang, enveloping the entire room. The two forces twisted together, neither giving way, creating an atmosphere so tense it felt ready to explode. Just then, a subordinate rushed in, breathless, reporting urgently, leader, it's not good, young master. Luo Guahai furrowed his brows and said sharply, Tiani? What happened to him? Zhou Zhang scoffed, his eyes filled with disdain, before coming here, I casually killed him. There's no need to be so tense. Hearing this, Luo Guahai's eyes widened in shock, as if he couldn't believe his ears, what did you say? The subordinate behind him stammered in confirmation, leader. The young master really has. Luo Guahai looked at Zhou Zhang, his gaze unable to hide his astonishment, as if he couldn't believe what he had just heard. He mumbled, no. This is impossible. Seeing this, Zhou Zhang thought to himself, he has lost focus, it's a good opportunity. At that moment, Luo Guahai furiously shouted, I will chop you into 100 pieces. His gaze clearly captured the image of Zhou Zhang charging towards him. Luo Guahai powerfully executed the flash technique, and even though Zhou Zhang's dagger pierced his abdomen, he remained unfazed. Zhou Zhang was shocked and thought, rank 8 martial artists, unexpectedly frightening. Luo Guahai gritted his teeth and endured the pain, then he shouted loudly, die. Luo Guahai unleashed a powerful strike, but Zhou Zhang managed to dodge just in time. He continued to gather the torrent of energy within his body. Despite Luo Guahai continuously launching attacks, Zhou Zhang remained agile in avoiding them. He silently analyzed, 3, 2, 1. After pushing off forcefully from the sofa to gain momentum, Zhou Zhang fixed his determined gaze. Now is the moment. The cooldown for the flash technique was complete. Zhou Zhang activated the skill disappears, then he landed and plunged the dagger straight into Luo Guahai's chest. Zhou Zhang had accurately pinpointed the location, however, Luo Guahai only flinched slightly. He gritted his teeth and yelled, not painful, not itchy. Afterward, Luo Guahai began to counterattack. Seeing this, Zhou Zhang was a bit surprised. He kicked Zhou Zhang hard into the wall. Collapsing in the dust and smoke, Zhou Zhang smirked mockingly, ha, do you think I can't avoid this blade? Zhou Zhang radiated a fierce aura and declared, my father once said, only those who can be cruel to themselves are the ultimate victors. He produced a vial of red medicine and stated, from the moment I stabbed them, you were already defeated. At that moment, Luo Guahai realized in shock, your blade is poisoned. Zhou Zhang replied, rank 6 Ghostface Spider, even rank 8 martial artists would die without a doubt. Meanwhile, Luo Guahai was gradually exhausted and had to kneel on the ground outside. Su Yunwen silently prayed, God, please protect the young master immediately. Zhou Zhang, panting, appeared right before her, let's go. Su Yunwen joyfully exclaimed, young master. At that moment, Zhou Zhang thought to himself, this is bad, the injuries caused by rank 8 martial artists, even a blood vial cannot fully recover. Seeing his body sway, Su Yunwen anxiously called out, young master, you. Zhou Zhang, exhausted, gradually let go. When Su Yunwen saw him fall, she gasped and called, young master, the Luo family has already begun to search and spread out, he can't have gone far. Su Yunwen carried Zhou Zhang on her back and silently urged, young master, you must not have anything happen to you. She gritted her teeth, tears streaming down her face, yet she still tried to drag her small body forward. A determined voice rang out, as if she was encouraging herself, this time, it's my turn to protect you. Meanwhile, 2 investigators were looking into old Luo's death. The cause of death has been determined to be poison. This type of poison is strong enough to take down an 8th rank martial artist. It seems there is an extraordinary figure emerging in Titan City. Elsewhere, Su Yunwen was still worrying incessantly about Zhou Zhang. She continuously encouraged him, her voice trembling, young master, hang in there. We have to find herbs to stop the bleeding. Suddenly, Zhou Zhang grasped her arm and weakly said, Yunwen, in my bag. There's medicine and bandages. Hearing this, Su Yunwen hurriedly searched his bag and found a small vial of red medicine. She carefully poured the medicine onto Zhou Zhang's wound, each motion gentle and attentive. Zhou Zhang looked down at the deep wound on his body, thinking to himself, this wound is too severe, even HP potions can't heal it immediately. As the ointment from the uncle was applied, the pain reduced significantly. With a voice full of worry, Su Yunwen asked, young master, how do you feel now? But Zhou Zhang merely closed his eyes quietly, whispering, perhaps, I need to sleep for a while. The next morning, the early sunlight gently filtered through the leaves, shining down on Zhou Zhang's eyes. He woke up, finding himself leaning against Su Yunwen. She immediately rejoiced and exclaimed, young master, you're awake. Zhou Zhang replied, his hand resting on the wound on his body. Aha! Looking at her, he offered a faint smile filled with gratitude, the wound is healing. Su Yunwen smiled gently and said, that's great, it's all thanks to that ointment. Zhou Zhang replied sincerely, I'm just glad you're here. His words made Su Yunwen suddenly blush, and she shyly lowered her head. But at that moment, her stomach let out a loud growl, making her even more embarrassed. She let out a soft exclamation, her face turning bright red from shame. Zhou Zhang chuckled, his eyes filled with teasing yet gentle warmth, come on, I'll take you to eat something delicious. At the morning market outside Titan City, people were buzzing with conversation. I heard that Luo Guahai and his son have both been killed. One person said, I wonder who could be strong enough to do that. That's an 8th rank martial artist. A brown-haired person remarked, this has even shaken the Titan Guard team. The black-haired man replied, that's right, there hasn't been a case this big in Titan City for many years. Zhou Zhan listened to the chatter, quickly calculating in his mind, the Titan Guard. Will I be discovered? On the Titan Guard team, an investigator was intently reviewing Zhou Zhang's file. At that moment, a subordinate entered and reported seriously, Captain, I have meticulously interrogated all the parties involved. I can assure you that this matter is absolutely related to this kid. The investigator looked down at the file, his eyes showing doubt. Zhou Zhang? A 3rd rank martial artist? Could he have done this? At the hospital, Sue Butler was sitting beside the hospital bed, crying uncontrollably. She choked out through her tears, hic hic. It's all my fault. I caused Lan Shi to end up like this. Lan Shi, sitting nearby, gently comforted her, Sue Butler, this isn't your fault. I'm the one who's too useless. Now I've become a cripple. You don't need to worry. Zhou Zhang felt a heavy weight in his heart as he spoke resolutely, I will definitely find a way to treat you. Lan Shi trembled all over, tears streaming down her face as she choked out, young master, you don't need to go through all this hardship for me. Suddenly, the door swung open. 2 Titan Guard team members walked in, their tone solemn, is Zhou Zhang here? We are the Titan Guard team. Zhou Zhang calmly replied, it's me. One of the 2 asked, so you must have met him, right? Zhou Zhang nodded, let's go talk outside. Lan Shi, standing nearby, softly said, Butler, young master. However, Sue Butler only stood there awkwardly, shaking his head repeatedly, no, it's fine. Young master said it's nothing. Lan Shi frowned, what do you mean it's nothing? Sue Butler stammered, no, it's nothing. I don't know anything at all. After a round of investigation, the 2 Titan Guard team members left the room. Zhou Zhang saw them to the door, politely saying, be careful. If you need any further investigation, feel free to come find me. I will absolutely cooperate with the guard team. As they departed, one of the team members asked the captain with uncertainty, Captain, all the clues clearly point to him. Why don't we arrest him? The captain gazed into the distance, his eyes deep as he replied, reason? A rank 3 martial artist could kill a rank 8 martial artist, can you believe that? Or perhaps there's a force behind him helping him. The team member remained unsettled, but Luo Guahai is dead. Should we just let this go? The captain pondered, Luo Guahai's death is a fact. But this matter might have touched on an even more terrifying power. This is definitely not worth the risk. After a pause, he continued, so how should the report be written? The team member answered, the cause of death is recorded as Luo Guahai accidentally consumed extremely toxic plants and died. Chang Zhan was holding glasses and saying, there are so many perfect rank 6 viper skins, brother, with this batch of snake skins, it could solve a tough problem for my older brother. Zhou Zhang replied, if it can help brother Chang, then that's great. Chang Zhan ordered a servant bring the materials down at the highest market price to settle the accounts for my brothers. But Zhou Zhang waved his hand, no need. He asked brother Chang, do you know who has the best medical skills in Titan City? Chang Zhan surprisingly asked, have you been injured? Zhou Zhang lowered his face and said, I have a friend who was beaten and had his limbs broken. Suddenly, Chang Zhan shouted, who is the bold one that dared to harm one of our people? I'll find someone to help you teach him a lesson. Zhou Zhang then smiled gently and said, thank you, brother Chang, I've already dealt with that person, but my friend's injuries. Chang Zhan quickly said, if we're talking about the best doctor in Titan City, it must be Medicine King. At Medicine King's clinic, the people in line were discussing, there are so many people, did you see? It's not easy to invite him. Chang Zhan turned to Zhou Zhang and said, the person sitting at the reception is named Wang. He's a disciple of Medicine King Fan and very skilled in both Western and Chinese treatments. Medicine King called out from inside. Gentlemen, what seems to be the problem? Zhou Zheng stepped in and said, Dr. Wang, we have a friend with a rather troublesome injury, and we want to find Elder Fan. The Medicine King replied, to have my master treat you, having money is not enough. Zhou Zheng insisted, please let Elder Fan know, my friend's injury is indeed very serious. The Medicine King coldly answered, go back, a rank 3 martial artist like you won't be able to find the herbs my master requires. Zhou Zheng leaned on the table and firmly said, Elder Fan's condition for a diagnosis is to find the herbs. The Medicine King questioned, herbs? Most of what my master needs grows in areas inhabited by rank 5 or above mutated monsters. Do you think you can manage that? Chang Zhan tried to dissuade him. Zhou Zhang, let it go, brother. I know a few famous doctors, let's find someone else. Zhou Zheng merely lowered his head and said, Brother Chang, I want to look around here first. Since you're so busy, there's no need for you to come with me. He replied, that's fine, if you need anything, be sure to find me. Zhou Zhang responded, sure. Inside the clinic, Zhou Zhang stood outside and said, this must be the back courtyard of the clinic. Then he quickly dashed toward the city wall, jumped high over it, and landed inside the clinic. An old man was diligently tending to his plants, but it seemed he was well aware that Zhou Zhang was standing behind him. The old man was Fan Tai, an 8th rank martial artist, known by the nickname Medicine King. Suddenly, he stood up, stretched, and smiled, saying, I'm getting old, after sitting for just a little while, my waist is sore and my back hurts. You've been standing there for quite some time, so you must have something you need help with, right? Hearing this, Zhou Zheng stepped forward, clasped his hands respectfully, and replied, Mr. Fan, I have a friend who has broken his bones, they are shattered and cannot be treated. Medicine King pondered for a moment and then responded, you've come here, so you must know the conditions under which I will treat someone, right? If you want my help, you need to find me the herbal medicine I specify. Your friend has broken his bones, you say? Then you must find me 2 skeleton herbs. After hearing this, Zhou Zhang nodded in confirmation, skeleton herbs, got it. I understand. I will do my best to find them. With that, he turned and left. At the Martial Artists Association, Zhou Zhang began inquiring about the skeleton herbs. People said that this type of herb was extremely rare, worth as much as a low-grade purple crystal, and only grew in dangerous places like Poison Fog Valley. Determined to find this herb, Zhou Zhang drove into Poison Fog Forest, surrounded by toxic fog. Along the way, he gently shook the vial of medicine in his hand, silently thinking about the critical condition of his friend. Suddenly, from a distance, 2 strangers observed him and exclaimed in surprise, does that guy really dare to enter Poison Fog Valley? Does he want to die? Ignoring their chatter, Zhou Zhang remained steadfast, his gaze fixed on his mission. The dense trees rustled, adding to the tension in the air. He murmured to himself, this journey is indeed dangerous, but I must find the skeleton herbs, otherwise, everything will be in vain. Suddenly, a voice shouted as a warning, be careful, it's a rank 6 venomous snake. Zhou Zhang immediately turned around in confusion. Then he looked towards a cave, intuition telling him that there was good loot inside. He stepped into the cave. As he walked, he thought, is it just one? Suddenly, a 6-headed venomous snake appeared inside. But beneath the body of the venomous snake were skeleton herbs. The skeleton herbs were indeed here, but this venomous snake was not going to be easy to deal with. He threw a stone at the venomous snake and jumped toward the skeleton herbs. Just as he was about to reach out to pluck them, the venomous snake lunged at him. Zhou Zhang hurriedly jumped back. Later, he said, if you don't want to let me take them, then don't blame me for killing the snake to get the goods. Indeed, there were no openings at all. The venomous snake, having missed its tasty prey right in front of it, roared in anger, baring its fangs, and once again attempted to strike at Zhou Zhang, but fortunately, he dodged in time. Zhou Zhang unexpectedly fell backward, there were truly no openings whatsoever. Both sides grappling, swaying back and forth. Zhou Zhang quickly thought, if this were a game, I'd definitely be hitting a bug right now. Suddenly, he pulled out a bow and arrow from his bag and said, I really miss the days when I could exploit bugs to defeat monsters. 3 hours later, he gasped, I have no nostalgia left now. After a while of fighting, the venomous snake lay sprawled on the ground, pierced by dozens of arrows from Zhou Zhang. Finally, it can come to an end, I've had too much experience. He picked up a piece of jade from the ground and said with a smile, this is a profit, each head of the snake has a green crystal, but this one is the most important. Outside, a group of people was struggling against the spirit snake. Everyone, hold on, it can't last much longer. Suddenly, the venomous snake opened its mouth wide and bit one of them, level 1 mutated venomous snake king. It's over, it has evolved. Zhou Zhang heard the noise from inside. What's that sound? Could there be another boss in this jungle? The crowd shouted, don't be afraid, let's go together. With that, the venomous snake charged again, but then it suddenly turned its head elsewhere. One of them joyfully said, it seems it's in a weakened state, let's chase it for our fallen brothers. As Zhou Zhang walked, he thought, I've collected a total of 5 crystals, 1 skeleton herb is equivalent to 1 purple crystal, this time, I really hit the jackpot. Suddenly, the venomous snake lunged at him, but it was currently in a state of energy depletion. Zhou Zhang glared at the venomous snake in front of him and coldly said, do you want to die? As soon as he finished speaking, he swiftly used flash, ending the snake's life in a single strike. On the other side, a group of people was taken aback by his actions, buzzing with questions, who is it? Which bastard dares to do something like this? In a cheerful mood, Zhou Zhang continued driving back. Along the way, he mumbled, I wonder if Brother Chang would be interested in this king snake? When he returned to Medicine King's place, the old man saw him from a distance and mocked, Kid, is there really no door for you to enter my place? Zhou Zhang paid no mind, took out an item, and asked, is this it? Upon seeing the skeleton herbs, Medicine King was overjoyed, took it in his hands, and kept exclaiming, yes, this is it. You little rascal, I never expected you to obtain such a rare herb. Do you know how much a skeleton herb like this is worth? Zhou Zhang calmly replied, I don't know if it's valuable or not, but you have to keep your promise. At the hospital, Medicine King carefully examined Lan Shi's condition. Seeing the shattered bone wounds, he shook his head, the person who did this was truly cruel. Fortunately, we have skeleton herbs, otherwise, with such serious injuries, even I would be helpless. Half an hour later, after completing the treatment process, Medicine King turned to Lan Shi and said, Kid, you are lucky to have a precious friend. In a week, you will witness a miracle. Lan Shi was moved and was about to say something but hesitated. Zhou Zhang, standing beside him, smiled and clasped his hands, saying to the old man, Elder Fan, thank you for saving Lan Shi. Medicine King chuckled softly but didn't forget to lightly scold, so now you know to call me Elder? Zhou Zhang waved goodbye to Medicine King and softly said, I've already paid enough for the procedure, we don't owe each other anything. Medicine King merely bowed his head in response, his tone slightly annoyed, don't come looking for me again next time. Zhou Zhang turned and walked inside, where Lan Shi was waiting. Upon seeing him, Lan Shi hurriedly said, Young master, I really have troubled you too much this time. Zhou Zhang replied calmly, if I were injured by someone else, would you find a way to save me? Lan Shi immediately responded in a panic, even if it means risking my life, I will save the young master. Hearing this, Zhou Zhang smiled faintly and nodded in satisfaction, so it is only natural for me to save you. After all, you are family to me. Lan Shi was moved, tears welling up in his eyes as he choked out, I will definitely work hard to cultivate and ensure that something like today never happens again. Suddenly, a ringtone echoed. Beep beep beep. Zhou Zhang took out his phone and answered the call. Looking at the screen, he murmured, this is the communication device the martial artists guild gave me when I registered, I didn't expect someone to call. A familiar voice came from the other end, Zhou Zhang, it's Zhang Shaoqi. Zhou Zhang replied, Brother Zhang, what's the matter? Zhang Shaoqi said, about the mission I mentioned last time, do you want to take it on? But I must warn you, this mission is extremely dangerous. Think it over carefully before deciding. Zhou Zhang pondered for a moment, then pointed to a dart in the equipment storage, Brother Chang, how many of these darts do we have left? Chang Zhan, the equipment manager, replied with a smile, 100. If you need them, take them all. Zhou Zhang nodded. Also prepare a few regular daggers for me. Chang Zhan responded enthusiastically, right away. At 9 Rings, Star Crown Hotel, a group of 4 people was discussing inside. Zhanhu, rank 8, said, I've heard that there's a rank 3 guy who wants to join this time. Lu Qianjun, rank 8, replied, we must trust Zhang Shaoqi's judgment, anyone he takes note of can't be a loser. Zhang Shaoqi, rank 8, added, thank you for waiting, everyone. Lu Chuanchang, rank 8, smiled and said, you've broken through to rank 8 now. Zhang Shaoqi nodded and replied, I just broke through a few days ago. Zhanhu remarked, the probability of success for this mission has increased significantly. He responded, yeah. One of them asked, Brother Zhang, is that rank 3 guy you mentioned reliable? It's already past 8 o'clock, and he still hasn't shown up. Lu Chuanchang then said, isn't he here now? Whether he's reliable or not, we'll know soon enough. At that moment, Zhou Zhan walked in. Zhang Shaoqi introduced, everyone, this is our final new member. He introduced himself, hello everyone. My name is Zhou Zhang. Zhanhu also introduced himself, I'm Zhanhu, and I've always heard Brother Zhang praising you. Zhou Zhang replied, I look forward to your guidance moving forward. Zhanhu joked, you think you're better than me, huh? Zhou Zhang laughed and said, Brother Zhanhu, I'm not underestimating you, I'm just afraid that with one handshake from you, I'll fall apart. Zhang Shaoqi clapped to signal, everyone is here, let's head to my reserved room on the rooftop to discuss the next steps of our plan. Then all 5 of them stepped inside, and Zhou Zhan quickly jumped onto the soft bed. At that moment, Zhanhu was downing a bottle of wine. Wow, refreshing. Zhang Shaoqi, sitting cross-legged, said, I'll reiterate, this mission has a very generous reward, but the danger is also quite high. If anyone wants to withdraw now, it's still not too late. Everyone fell silent upon hearing this. Zhang Shaoqi continued, the reward will be divided, each person will take 1 share, and the remaining 4 shares will be distributed based on contributions. Suddenly, Zhanhu pointed and shouted, I find that unfair. I have no issue with others taking 1 share, but what does he base his share on? He replied, oh, then how do you think it should be divided? I haven't thought of that yet. How about this, each person gets a fixed 5%, and the remaining 70% is divided based on contributions. Zhou Zhang raised his hand in agreement and said, this method of division is good, I have no objections. Zhanhu also agreed, saying, then I have no objections either. Zhanhu thought to himself, this kid agrees to such a division, does he really think he will earn more than these rank 8 people? Zhang Shaoqi said, if we've settled the negotiations, then I'll offer a little benefit up front. Everyone can go to the martial artists mall and choose 1 piece of equipment no higher than medium rank green crystal, I'll cover the cost. Zhou Zhang suddenly asked, the martial artists mall is an online marketplace established jointly by the Martial Artists Association and the Titan security team, but it's only open to martial artists of level 7 and above. This means I'm still not qualified. Zhang Shaoqi quickly replied, you may not be qualified, but the computer at the Star Crown Hotel is qualified. With that, Zhou Zhang started exploring the hotel's computer. This is similar to the Wabao site before I transmigrated here, but the items on this one are much more valuable. There are way too many goods, it seems that Titan City is not as simple as I thought. This is an elf bow with a 30% transmission probability, priced at 2 high-rank purple crystals. Wow, even selling myself wouldn't be enough to buy 2 high-rank purple crystals, I can only hope that this mission will allow me to earn enough for them. Demon Shadow Mountain cat boots, these would suit me perfectly. The goods have been delivered. The shipper said, thank you for purchasing from the martial artists mall. Zhanhu chuckled and slapped Zhou Zhang on the shoulder, the happiest one is this kid, he scored a green crystal even before setting out. Zhang Shaoqi, standing nearby, thought to himself while sweating bullets, he's not happy for real. Those couple of jars of wine I gave him are worth several purple crystals already. Seeing Zhou Zhang open the package, Zhanhu suddenly exclaimed, OMG, is this extravagant? Zhanhu said, a medium green crystal to buy a pair of shoes. Zhou Zhang put them on and jumped up, saying, "No wonder these shoes are worth a medium green crystal, the feeling is completely different. With these on, I feel much more secure. If we can finish this mission quickly, I might be able to buy an elf bow." Outside, two vehicles were moving at high speed. Brother Zhang in front stopped briefly. Zhenhu turned to Zhou Zhang and said, "Kid, come with me, let's get off the vehicle." Zhang Shaoqi said, "Zhou Zhang, they need to test your strength a bit. I trust you, but in the end, we still need them to trust you." Zhou Zhang replied, "Captain, I understand." When they arrived, Zhenhu immediately pointed at the group of monsters and said, "Zhou Zhang, how about we deal with these two appetizers before the main course?" He answered, "No problem." Zhang Shaoqi, waiting outside, said, "Level 3 against 2 level 4s, are we being too ruthless?" Blood Sword Lu Chuan Chang, are you seriously using the word ruthless? Stop joking. He couldn't even pass a single checkpoint, so there's no need to throw himself into the jaws of death. It really is too cruel. Two sand wolves, it's truly ruthless. On Zhou Zhang's side, one of the monsters had already fallen, being torn apart by the remaining two. He walked forward, bow and arrows in hand. One of them howled loudly. The howl echoed through the entire forest. Zhenhu clicked his tongue and said, "This isn't good, this is a sand wolf den. Let me go and pull Zhou Zhang back." Zhenhu turned around, his eyes sharp and cold. "Aren't you all eager to test him? A pack of wolves would be more convincing than just two, wouldn't it?" Zhou Zhang remained silent, only quietly knocking 3 arrows onto his bow, the corners of his mouth curving slightly. "They're coming." Moments later, a horde of sand wolves charged toward him like a whirlwind. Zhou Zhang calmly drew his bow, each arrow flying off the string like lightning, piercing straight into each wolf. Whimpering sounds erupted as the pack quickly fell to the ground. He turned around, his voice calm, "Well, my shooting skills haven't dulled." On Zhenhu's team, everyone stared in astonishment. One member couldn't help but exclaim, "Monster! What on earth have you been eating to grow this strong? Are you going to leave any chance for us ordinary folks to survive?" Zhou Zhang merely shrugged, smiling lightly, "Just hard work. That's all." The two vehicles continued to race along the dusty road. Zhang Shaoqi reminded the team, "We've entered the outskirts of the red zone. Zhenhu, get ready to work." Suddenly, Zhenhu poked his head out of the vehicle, his sniper rifle quickly aimed at a target. The sound of gunfire rang out continuously as a giant bird flying in the sky was hit, falling down and emitting a brilliant light before lying still. Zhang Shaoqi shouted a warning, "Everyone, be alert! We're about to enter the mutated red zone. Don't let your guard down." The convoy halted at an open area. One of the team members pointed in the distance, "The target is 50 km away. We must be extremely vigilant while passing through the red zone." Suddenly, Zhou Zhang raised his hand for silence, his voice calm yet firm, "Wait. There are mutated beasts nearby." Zhenhu frowned, doubtful, "Are you sure?" "We don't sense anything. Don't talk nonsense." Zhou Zhang replied coldly, his gaze sharp, "Trust me. Prepare for battle." Having said that, everyone hurriedly prepared. In the desolate forest, a pair of blood-red eyes suddenly appeared, growling from the bushes. It suddenly lunged out, and Zhang Shaoqi shouted, "Everyone be careful, it's a rank 8 forest leopard." The leopard pounced towards them, baring its sharp teeth and claws, aiming for Zhenhu. "Where do you think you're going? You have to go through me first." The spotted leopard and Zhenhu were locked in a struggle, while the others rushed in to slash at it. The leopard let out a painful roar. It widened its blood-red eyes and, once again enraged, charged at Zhenhu, but a blade intercepted its mouth. Zhou Zhang was using his sword to block it, and a long-haired man with green hair rushed in, throwing a spear that struck the leopard, causing it to stagger and fall. Seizing the opportunity, Zhenhu raised his mace and delivered a powerful blow to it. "What goes around comes around, here's your payback." Zhou Zhang watched silently, thinking, impressive, no wonder they are rank 8 martial artists. If these people surrounded me, I definitely wouldn't be able to escape. At that moment, the leopard had broken free from Zhan Hu and laughed, saying, not bad luck, just arrived and already got a green gem. Zhou Zhang then pointed at the leopard and said, Hu brother, don't you want the corpse of this one? He replied, I can't hold this thing, it's both heavy and dirty, and the smell of blood will attract other wild beasts. If you guys aren't taking it, then I won't be polite anymore. The stuff on me that the beast robbed could sell for quite a bit of money. Zhou Zhang then said, in order to buy the elf bow, I guess I'll have to save up from now on. The group continued to move forward. With 17 kilometers left, everyone persevered. Zhan Hu laughed and said, once this mission is completed, I'll drink for a whole week. Lu Chuancheng scoffed, first, you need to survive until the mission is completed, let's not forget, this time we're challenging a level 9 wind god. Zhan Hu replied, what's there to be afraid of? Last time it came to Titan City causing trouble, it was still chased away by level 9 martial artists, right? Zhou Zhang suddenly had a bad feeling, what's going on? Ever since we stepped into this place, something feels off. He looked into the distance and saw a corpse hanging from the branches of a tree. Oh no, everyone be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, the vines wrapped around the people below. What is that? The vines rushed forward, and the long-haired green-haired guy quickly dodged. What is that? Why is it so strong? Zhou Zhang said, let me handle it. Zhou Zhang then slashed a few times. However, the vines still wouldn't let go, continuously launching their tendrils. I didn't expect it to be this tough. If that's the case. Suddenly, he became serious and slashed down decisively. On this side, Zhan Hu and the others are struggling with it. This thing is not easy to deal with. The vines are starting to retract. Quickly save the team leaders. A few people have already been wrapped up high by the vines. Zhou Zhang then said, as long as these plants launch an attack, HP will be revealed. If there is HP, then there must be a weakness. We can determine the weakness, but it's hard to see. These vines are not easy to handle, but the trunks are all weaknesses. Saying that, he started shooting continuously at the trunk. We should go too, you all step back and let me. But Zhou Zhang spoke with certainty, trust me. Saying that, he continued to shoot continuously at the trunk. The system panel appeared, gaining 5,000 experience. The experience was quite rich. The vine trees were shot until they were smoking. Zhou Zhang hurriedly rushed up, and the long-haired green-haired guy shouted to Mom. Then he helped those who were hanging in the trees down one by one. Zhang Shaoqi suddenly shouted, I will chop you up for firewood. Lu Chuancheng pointed, no need, it's already over. Saying that, the two of them looked towards Zhou Zhang. He had finally leveled up. Everyone started to stand up and move on. Suddenly, Zhan Hu found a metal ring and quickly raised it, saying, isn't this the great dragon ring of Zhongli Shi? This is a divine artifact with a 20% conductivity. Unexpectedly, a rank 8 expert like Zhongli Shi also died here. It seems that many squads that came to slay dragons perished in this place. Zhang Shaoqi said with a smile to Zhou Zhang, if it weren't for you, I would have met the same fate as them in my inheritance. Zhou Zhang replied with a smile, thank you, my brother, we are a team, there's no need for formality. Zhan Hu clapped Zhou Zhang on the shoulder, laughing, ha ha ha, very brotherly. Ha ha, from today onwards, you are my comrade in life and death, including me as well. Suddenly, from the hill, rocks and earth came tumbling down. The sound was quite powerful, albeit somewhat light. A dragon was perched at the mountain's summit. Zhang Shaoqi looked through the binoculars and reported, as per the intelligence, its wing is severely injured, I will test its attack strength. Zhan Hu provided cover for Qian Jun and understood, get down to take aim with the semi-automatic sniper, that big creature is in for a hit. Then unexpectedly, Zhou Zhang rushed forward, swinging his sword to strike at the dragon's wing lying there. But strangely, it seemed unfazed. Zhan Hu immediately fired a shot. The dragon suddenly roared, its voice echoing out. Zhou Zhang quickly jumped back as the dragon took to the skies and dove straight towards them. Zhan Hu, crouching low, managed to evade the attack. With a swift motion, the dragon kicked Zhan Hu straight into the rock wall. He was caught off guard and couldn't brace himself. Zhou Zhang shouted loudly, let's go together. Seeing this, the spirit dragon opened its mouth wide, a fireball appeared, and it breathed fire towards Zhou Zhang, so strong. Could this monster really have no weaknesses? I can see it now, its weakness. The divine dragon then unleashed a powerful stream of fire down towards the crowd below. The long-haired green-haired man, in panic, shouted, Captain, what do we do now? We can't get close to it. Are we really just going to give up? If I'm not mistaken, its backlash must come at the cost of life corrosion. And that position could definitely cause damage. We might as well take a risk. Zhang Xiaoqi shouted loudly, there's no other way, retreat first. Suddenly, Zhou Zhang charged forward and delivered a strong blow to the belly of the wind god pterosaur. The spirit dragon, hit hard, cried out in pain and angrily shouted back at Zhou Zhang. The people around yelled, Zhou Zhang, it's over, there's no way to dodge this attack. Zhou Zhang replied, using this skill can hit its health, it seems there's a chance. With that, the spirit dragon fell down, crashing forcefully to the ground. Zhou Zhang turned to team leader Zhanhu and said, Captain, you guys use long-range guns to hold it back, the rest is up to me. Upon hearing this, Zhanhu couldn't hide his admiration, realizing that this was indeed a monster. What are you still standing there for? Distract it. It can inflict damage on the wind god pterosaur. How on earth did this kid manage to do that? It's utterly beyond reason. The wind god pterosaur let out a roar, intensifying the atmosphere around them. Zhang Xiaoqi immediately charged forward, and just then, Zhanhu fired a shot at the monster's head, laughing, trying to breathe fire without my permission, huh? Both sides plunged into battle. Captain, how could you have found such a freak? Zhang Xiaoqi calmly lit a cigarette and replied gently, well, it all started with that bottle of honey. Zhanhu was taken aback, not expecting such a profound response from him, and continued to express his admiration. I didn't realize my own limitations and wanted to challenge it. Captain, weren't you the one who warned me against seeking death? Everyone, look at his attacking style, I've never seen anyone wield their energy like that. The wind god pterosaur raised its head, preparing to spit fire. Zhou Zhang rushed forward, shouting, everyone get back, it's about to blow. Moments later, the wind god pterosaur unleashed a massive jet of flame. Zhou Zhang noticed that it had likely sustained heavy internal injuries earlier, and now it was just a matter of waiting for it to bleed out and die. Half an hour later, the wind god pterosaur finally fell. However, unexpectedly, it leveled up at that moment. Zhou Zhang could only sigh, truly. It's just too powerful. On Ming our NGH, level 35 can now learn that skill. The bandit main skill instantly pulls the thief next to the designated target, entering stealth mode, and the stealth state disappears after being attacked or launching an effective attack. The cooldown time is 2 minutes. Zhang Xiaoqi commanded, while yelling high and recorded the corpse. Ahu, prepare for dissection, everyone, be quick. Ahu approached and stabbed the wind god pterosaur, but suddenly his knife broke. This damn thing is still tough even when dead. At this moment, Lu Qianjun had to use his energy. We're rich now, one scale is worth a green crystal. Zhou Zhang interrupted, what's a green crystal? There's even a purple one here. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I still couldn't imagine a level 3 kid could kill a dragon. He laughed, just lucky. Zhanhu scolded, your freak is being modest. If it were me, even if I combined all my luck in a lifetime, I still couldn't do it. In the Star Crown hotel room, Zhang Xiaoqi said this time, there's quite a bit of loot, everyone discuss how you want to distribute it. Zhanhu then asked, are we exchanging for star crystals or distributing the items directly? Zhang Xiaoqi replied, Zhou Zhang's contribution is the greatest, let's decide first. Zhou Zhang scratched his head awkwardly and replied, I think we should just do it based on demand. If we want physical items, we distribute physical items. If we want star crystals, we exchange for star crystals to distribute. But I have a feeling that the scales of the wind god pterosaur definitely won't just be one green crystal. After all, the special properties haven't been fully tapped yet. Zhang Xiaoqi said, that's right. Ahu then interjected, then I'll also take physical items, I trust Zhou Zhang's judgment. Based on our previous agreement, each person will take 5%, leaving 70%. Zhou Zhang asked, no one has any objections to taking half, right? Everyone replied, of course, no objections, no objections. Zhou Zhang raised his hand and said, if you all trust me, I know a reliable equipment shop. We can sell the skin of this dragon to him, and then we can distribute the proceeds. The team leader agreed, you can handle this. Everyone still has a small portion set aside to give to the Martial Artists Guild in exchange for contribution points. Director Shen, holding his glasses, said while examining, that's right, it really is the wind god pterosaur. They presented the evidence, Director Shen, this is the proof that we killed the wind god pterosaur. He laughed heartily, ha ha ha, you all have worked hard. Then he turned and said, the president of our Martial Artists Guild also wants to express some gratitude towards you, so he has decided to increase your contribution by 10%. At the same time, he grants you all 10 stars. The lobby of the Martial Artists Guild buzzed with excitement as the mission titled Wind God Pterosaur was completed. People were talking animatedly, look, I heard this mission was accomplished by them. A 10-star member? That's a rank I wouldn't even dare to dream of achieving in my lifetime. Master, please give me your autograph. Everyone flocked around Zhou Zhang. Struggling to push his way through, Zhou Zhang said helplessly, fortunately, I didn't wear the damned badge. Please give me a room, I need to investigate some things. The girl replied, sure, please. Suddenly, the receptionist exclaimed joyfully, Mr. Zhou, please wait a moment, I will get a room for you right away. Mr. Zhou, take care, next time, just come to me for any procedures. Zhou Zhang left dejectedly, saying, it seems the power of that badge is far greater than I thought. A villa in Sector 5 of Titan City. The chubby guy chuckled while typing, the top transmission weapon of Titan City is about to be mine. Heh, I haven't eaten or drunk anything and have been risking my life to earn money just for today. Treasure, I'm coming for you. Suddenly, the chubby guy yelled, huh? Ah, which bastard stole my elf bow? Mr. Chu, your goods have been delivered. Please confirm. Inside the box was a bright green bow that sparkled, living up to its reputation with a transmission capability of up to 30%. 2 high-grade purple crystals were also quite valuable. Zhou Zhang casually took them out and said to Chang Zhan, equip Brother Chang with this. How many nights have you been awake? Chang Zhan smiled and replied, hee, it's just a small matter. I won't hide it from you, I've used the materials you brought to create quite a few good items. Recently, I'm planning to hold an auction, and you must come when you have the time. Zhou Zhang raised his glass and said, an auction sounds perfect. I also have some items here that could elevate your equipment to a new level. Chang Zhan asked in surprise, do you have new materials? Zhou Zhang smiled and said, the skin of the wind god pterosaur. You're not joking, are you? Outside, in the wilderness beyond the jungle, do you lack anything? Chang Zhan raised an eyebrow and replied, that spear boar was clearly discovered by us first. Ha, if we hadn't stepped in to help, you would have been killed by that spear boar long ago. How could you possibly need us to save you? It's truly a case of good intentions being taken for granted. It seems you want to steal the sword, right? I'm serious about killing you. Zhou Zhang hurriedly retorted, I didn't mean that, I was just joking earlier. At that moment, a 6th-level martial artist with long green hair coldly snorted. Suddenly, laughter erupted. Ha ha ha. The person turned around and shouted, who is laughing? Zhou Zhang stepped forward and said, what kind of dignity do you have? Why do you like to join a low-level team to pretend to be a great figure? Then he scratched his head and awkwardly replied, isn't this a bit boring? Just going out for a stroll, right? Zhou Zhang continued, it's not easy for a small team to hunt and kill, you shouldn't join in anymore. The other guy replied, right, I was just joking, not trying to rob anyone. By the way, Zhou brother, our team leader wants to meet you. Zhou Zhang turned away and said, my phone number is 180,668, just contact me. He replied, okay, Zhou brother, take care. The small hunters unexpectedly said that guy seems to be only level 3, he might be the child of some high-ranking official. Suddenly, a pig appeared out of nowhere and charged at Zhou Zhang, who quickly took it down. Indeed, it was still stealth training like in the game. As long as you could practice silently, it was almost like being invisible. Then he dialed on his phone and said, practicing stealth, a few kilometers ahead in the Black Monkey area is also a good place, just be a bit more agile and don't leave the alert range. When he arrived at Red Tripod, he was confused. Wait, am I not on the wrong path? This isn't a private garden. Someone there said Red Tripod is fully enclosed, you better leave quickly if you know what's good for you. He thought the place isn't wrong, but my goal must be deeper inside. Zhou Zhang stealthily moved, then seemed to vanish as he entered. Grr, the growl of the star crystal rushed towards him. Zhou Zhang immediately transformed, thinking to himself, these beasts are coming again, hold them off for me. Zhou Zhang became invisible and hid on a nearby branch. Before him lay the territory of the Black Monkey. The Red Tripod Company was not simple, he never expected there to be so many formidable martial artists. He sensed that these monkeys were very organized, and there was definitely a king monkey behind them. 2 hours later, Zhou Zhang finally found his stealthy feeling. Today, he aimed to break through to level 4 and felt quite good about it. Suddenly, a cave of the star crystal pack appeared before him. Zhou Zhang thought, indeed, there is a king monkey, but there are too many monkeys around, killing this king monkey won't be easy. That's right, he suddenly realized why the monkeys were desperately trying to block outsiders. The female king monkey was sitting there eating fruit when suddenly a monkey charged out from the bushes. Zhou Zhang quickly stepped out and weaved through the star crystals. Suddenly, among the star crystals, a monkey challenged and rushed quickly towards another monkey. It opened its mouth wide, revealing sharp teeth, aiming for the monkey below that was holding fruit as if to snatch it away. Zhou Zhang unexpectedly leaned back to dodge and then told himself, it's almost time, let's go for it. Zhou Zhang hurriedly dashed towards the king monkey. Suddenly, one of them noticed him. Zhou Zhang was panting with fear of being discovered. He tried to climb the tree. 1, 2, 3. There are a total of 7 flowers. This time I'm going to strike it rich. But I need to think of a way to lure the king monkey away first. Suddenly, he had an idea and jumped up the tree. The star crystals below were cheering. It was at that moment that he suddenly leaped towards the king monkey that was lying down. The flowers began to shake and fly up. The king monkey turned around. Zhou Zhang tried to stay silent, but the king monkey had already noticed and roared loudly. He covered his ears and said, the sound waves are too strong. I'm done for. One of them was charging towards him and then jumped over. Zhou Zhang was taken by surprise, not understanding what was happening. The king monkey on the tree roared dashes, flash. Zhou Zhang quickly used a dodge move and ran towards the king monkey. The king monkey began to wake up, its eyes shining with anger. Then it swung its arm and charged violently towards Zhou Zhang. The star crystals below were cheering. The roar was terrifying. What is that sound? Damn it, the leader unexpectedly appeared. The king monkey charged forward. At that moment, Zhou Zhang glanced around and let out a sigh of relief. Sorry, I didn't mean to lead it to you guys. I've just broken through to rank 4 martial artist. Meanwhile, everyone was evacuating. Don't panic, just board the vehicle in an orderly fashion. Don't waste any of the black fruit you've gathered, load everything onto the vehicle. Zhou Zhang jumped out of the thicket, surveyed his surroundings, and said, phew, it seems that King Monkey is being blocked by those higher-ups. He dashed straight to the vehicle, waving goodbye as he went. You all hang in there, I'm heading off now. Zhao, the leader, spoke with a serious expression. Make sure to identify that kid correctly. He stole our Red Viper King. The person standing there said, his vehicle looks like the one that was parked near your team on that day, and I also found out that he sold the skin of the Red Viper snake around the same time. He exclaimed, Zhou Zhang. The other person continued, Zhao leader, I've completed your commission, but as a friend, I'd still like to remind you of something. Zhou Zhang is now a member of the Martial Artists Guild with a 10-star rating, and he completed the Wind God Terrasser mission alongside Zhang Shaoqi and the others. It won't be as simple as it seems to take action against him. Zhao leader, furious, threw his belongings around and shouted, "Are we just going to let our brothers die unjustly?" He replied, "Zhao leader, I know a little about this, you might be able to resolve your difficult issues." Zhou Zheng pondered, the dark shadow behind the name Blood Orchid with its muscle-enhancing and blood-activating properties. Zhou Zheng continued, "If it falls into the hands of someone who knows how to concoct medicine, it would definitely be a priceless treasure." Saying this, he held the vial of medicine in his hand. Wang Zekuan laughed heartily, "Are you quite wealthy, kid? So mysterious, inviting me here for a meal, what's the real story?" Zhou Zhang replied, "I feel embarrassed to say, but I still don't know your real name." Wang Zekuan laughed loudly, "Ha, I only know your nickname is the Madman." Then the two shook hands to become friends, officially introducing themselves, "My name is Zhou Zhang." The other person shook his hand, "And I am Wang Zekuan, but you can just call me old man if you like." Zhou Zhang smiled and said, "Uncle Wang, you must have a reason for coming to see me today." Zhou Zhang took out the blood orchid and asked, "Do you know what this is?" Wang Zekuan looked at the flower, gently stroked its petals, and replied, "This is the first time I've actually touched a real blood orchid." After that, he hurriedly returned it to Zhou Zhang, saying, "Madman, you keep it. If anyone finds out about this, it will cause trouble. At the Martial Artists Guild, it is bought for the price of a purple crystal, you shouldn't let others see it." Then he sighed, "If I were still the chairman of the Sky Medicine Organization before the New World, I would definitely buy this rare item at any cost. Unfortunately, now that I am at this level, this thing has become unattainable for me." Zhou Zheng smiled lightly, poured some wine, and said, "Uncle Wang, I'm not here to ask for your help with any evaluations. I was wondering if you'd be interested in collaborating with me? Your drug formulation techniques combined with my blood orchid will yield fantastic results." Hearing this, Wang Zekuan was surprised. "Collaboration? You value me? I have nothing to pretend about, but do we have enough power to protect the confidential formula? Furthermore, my ointments require substantial financial backing to support them." Zhou Zhang raised his glass, confidently stating, "Uncle Wang, rest assured, both of these issues are not a problem for me." The two clinked glasses in celebration. Someone asked, "Are you opening a store?" Zhou Zhang replied, "Yes, I'm preparing to open a convenience store to sell healing medicines and some other supplies." Su Yunwen added, "But I don't have any business experience yet." Lan Shi comforted, "You'll get used to it as you operate. I'll help you manage. Don't worry, with me here, no one will dare to cause trouble." Zhou Zhang chuckled, "So selling medicines and opening a convenience store means I've hit the jackpot with a computer mouse and a monitor, right?" Lan Shi laughed in response, "Then let's make a plan." 5 days later, Zhou Zhang led everyone to the newly opened store. A friend asked, "Huh? Crazy guy, is this the store you just opened?" "No way, right?" Zhou Zhang smiled and introduced, "This is the store manager Su Yunwen, and she's in charge of security." Su Yunwen bowed her head in greeting, "Uncle Wang, hello." Wang Zekuan looked somewhat skeptical, "Is that all? What can we expect from a thief of this level? I was too careless, this crazy guy is still quite young. I need to find an opportunity to talk to him more carefully." Zhou Zhang and Wang Zekuan were sitting outside the store, waiting for someone to arrive when suddenly a car stopped, and a group of people approached and greeted them. Brother Zhou, we're not late, are we?" Zhou Zhang invited them in, "You're just in time, please come inside." Wang Zekuan, observing from the side, thought, "These people seem to have decent skills, but they're still somewhat lacking in protecting the blood orchid." At that moment, 2 gangsters in the distance were watching. "Boss, when should we go collect the protection fee?" The younger one replied, "What's the rush? Let's wait until those impressive guys leave, then we'll collect." The boss shouted angrily, "Collect? You must be joking." A group led by Zhang Shaoqi arrived and said, "Kid, we're not late, are we?" Wang Zekuan was surprised to see them and exclaimed, "Rank 8 martial artists, is it that cheap now? No wonder he has the confidence to open this store, he truly is crazy, I'm still too young. On a gloomy afternoon, with thick clouds overhead, the thunderous sound of firecrackers mixed with lively applause filled the small street. A crowd was gathered in front of a newly opened grocery store named Joe Store. They shook hands with the owner and congratulated him. "Congratulations, Boss Joe, on the grand opening of Joe Store." The cheers and words of gratitude echoed continuously, dispelling the gloomy atmosphere. While everyone was immersed in the joyous mood, on the rooftop of the building across from the convenience store stood two figures, Xiao Jian and Lu Yongshan, arms crossed, watching the scene below. Xiao Jian glanced at Lu Yongshan with curiosity and asked, "Shan brother, he's just a rank 4 martial artist. Is he really worth your effort?" Lu Yongshan, with his fierce face, white hair, and scars that further accentuated his menacing aura, stood unmoved. One could only imagine the battles he had endured that cost him one of his eyes. In a dark tone, he replied, "Last time, he escaped." Xiao Jian, whose youthful face was marred by long scars that stripped away his innocence, looked at Shan brother and seemed to suddenly realize something. Whatever words were on the tip of his tongue, he swallowed them back. Shan brother's voice grew heavier as he continued, "This is a humiliation I must erase with my own hands." Meanwhile, on a highway in the city outskirts, two white pickup trucks sped like lightning. Inside, someone asked, "Zhou Zhang, Zhou brother, with our strength, can we really kill that king monkey?" Zhou Zhang glanced at his companion, thought for a moment, and said, "They say the king monkey is already injured. As long as we coordinate well, there should be no problem at all." When Zhou Zhang's car reached the edge of the forest, a dark and dense woodland greeted him. The sound of crows cawing echoed ominously. He stepped out of the car and immediately noticed another unfamiliar vehicle parked nearby. Letting out a sigh, his voice tinged with a hint of curiosity, he remarked, "I wonder which youngster got here before me. It seems someone has beaten us to the punch." Suddenly, a ferocious star crystal beast appeared before everyone. It bared its razor-sharp fangs, growling menacingly. Its deafening roar sent shivers through the group, forcing them to retreat a few steps. This beast was none other than the legendary King Monkey. Amid the chaos, a baby monkey from the King Monkey's group was struck down by the people, rolling over to the feet of the massive star crystal beast. Seeing its disciple fall in battle, the king monkey let out an enraged howl, its eyes burning fiercely as it stared at the group, as if ready to devour them alive. Overwhelmed with rage, the king monkey stepped back a few paces, then leaped high into the air, propelling itself towards the group with terrifying speed. Yang, the leader of the Zhanhu squad, realized the imminent danger to his team and shouted desperately, "Run!" But one of their comrades, paralyzed by fear, stood frozen in place. The young man trembled, unable to move. Seeing this, Yang's voice grew frantic as he shouted, "Achong, get out of the way!" Yang raised his weapon, prepared to charge in, but it was too late. The king monkey landed a devastating blow, striking the young man with a powerful swipe. The powerful attack sent him crashing into a tree trunk, then collapsing to the ground, groaning in pain. Taking advantage of the moment, the king monkey leaped up again, intending to deliver a decisive blow. The young man, drained of strength, could only open his eyes and await death. Seeing his comrade on the brink of life and death, Yang, the squad leader, didn't hesitate. He threw himself forward, weapon in hand, intercepting the king monkey's attack. The impact was so forceful that dirt and rocks flew in all directions, and dry leaves fluttered down like rain. Seizing the opportunity, Yang shouted to his team, "I'll hold it off. Quickly deal with the smaller ones and then come help me." In the dense underbrush nearby, two heads peeked out, observing the scene. They were Zhou Zhang and Xiao Hong, the captain of the Blade Squad. Watching the battle unfold, Xiao Hong remarked to Zhou Zhang, "That's the Zhanhu team." Zhou Zhang, surprised, stared at the chaotic scene and marveled at Zhanhu's remarkable coordination. He watched as the king monkey, exhausted, collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, surrounded by the Zhanhu squad. Despite their fatigue, their determination to defeat the king monkey seemed to fuel their strength. Zhou Zhang exhaled deeply, his voice tinged with regret as he muttered, "This is a misstep. Snatching the king monkey from this team doesn't look like it'll be possible." As everyone focused on the king monkey, a strange voice suddenly rang out from ahead. At the same time, another voice echoed, "I heard the sounds of a fight." The voice startled everyone, leaving them confused and on edge. Emerging from the forest came Su Yuan-jun, followed by a Tao and several others. Each of them bore fierce expressions, their faces marked with long, menacing scars. Su Yuan-jun scanned the group before him, his eyes gleaming with amusement as he smirked at their sorry state. Twisting a short dagger in his hand, Su Yuan-jun chuckled and said, "Perfect timing." As Su Yuan-jun and his team appeared, everyone instinctively turned to face them. Yang, the leader of Zhanhu, immediately recognized Su Yuan-jun, and his heart sank with unease. Though he tried to mask his irritation, Yang forced a polite smile and said in a friendly tone, "Allies from the Inverse Wind Guild. We, the Zhanhu team, are currently engaged in a battle with the King Monkey. I hope you can give us some leeway. Once this is over, we'll gladly host a banquet in your honor." Hearing this, Su Yuan-jun burst into laughter, his tone dripping with mockery as he toyed with the dagger in his hand. Behind him, a Tao gave a sinister grin. Su Yuan-jun raised an eyebrow, sighed theatrically, and sneered at Yang, "Young leader, do you think we came here for a vacation? A banquet? Really?" Yang's face darkened at his words. Glaring at Su Yuan-jun, he retorted coldly, "Su Yuan-jun, a person should know their boundaries." Before Yang could finish speaking, a sudden flash of silver cut through the air. A dagger sliced past his face, narrowly missing him, forcing Yang to stumble back several steps in shock. The dagger was thrown by Su Yuan-jun himself. Laughing maniacally, he taunted, "No need for that banquet, because you won't live to see another day." The dagger plunged straight into the chest of a Zhanhu team member standing behind young leader. Watching his teammate groan in pain and collapse to the ground, young leader cried out in despair, "Xiaoyi!" Xiaoya's sword slipped from his grasp, clattering onto the ground with a metallic clang. Seizing the moment, Su Yuan-jun pulled out a pair of razor-sharp claws from his belt. He barked orders to his crew, "Team 1, kill the King Monkey. Team 2, follow me. Let's erase Zhanhu from existence." With that, Su Yuan-jun lunged toward young leader, his lethal weapons gleaming ominously. From the sidelines, Xiao Hong observed the carnage unfold. Shaking his head, he sighed, TSK, what a waste." He paused his commentary to take a closer look at the situation, then turned to Zhou Zhang, his voice calm but his expression grim. "This situation doesn't bode well." Before Xiao Hong could finish his thought, Zhou Zhang was already prepared to act. His posture radiated a sense of unshakable resolve as he emerged from the dense underbrush. Seeing Zhou Zhang step forward, Xiao Heng's eyes widened in surprise. "Zhou brother!" he exclaimed. Without hesitation, Zhou Zhang charged into the chaotic battle between the three factions. He moved swiftly and decisively, shedding any burden of doubt or hesitation. With lightning speed, Zhou Zhang closed in on a Tao, his dagger raised. Moments later, a Tao crumpled to the ground, his story ending there. This sudden turn of events enraged the King Monkey beyond reason. It slammed its massive fists into the ground with an earth-shattering force, baring its razor-sharp fangs as it let out a deafening roar. Everyone around was trying to avoid the counterattacks of King Monkey, but a Tao stood there, doing nothing. People looked at him curiously and shouted, "A Tao, why are you just standing there?" Upon closer inspection of a Tao's face, his eyes were wide open, his mouth was moving as if he wanted to say something, and his complexion was pale, devoid of any color. Everyone thought a Tao was scared and was about to tease him, but unexpectedly, a loud thud echoed as a Tao fell to the ground, with a shadow flickering behind him. Seeing a Tao suddenly like that, everyone around froze, unable to believe their eyes. Surrounding Zhou Zhang's body was some unknown energy. He stood firm on the ground and then leaped towards King Monkey, unleashing attacks that the naked eye could not follow. He was as fast as lightning, provoking King Monkey, then launching a series of attacks so quickly that King Monkey couldn't counter. It trembled and cried out in pain. After a while, King Monkey heavily fell down, kicking up a cloud of dust around. Seeing King Monkey down, a brave person stepped forward to check, finding that King Monkey was still breathing faintly, but its fangs and star crystal had disappeared. They announced loudly, "It seems that not only did that person kill King Monkey, but he also took the star crystal and the king monkey that the martial artists guild requested. Another person exclaimed at Zhou Zhang's recent performance, "Can a person be that fast?" Suddenly, everyone seemed to remember something and shouted, "Oh no, someone has stolen King Monkey." After snatching the star crystal and the teeth of King Monkey, Zhou Zhang dashed straight into the deep forest, running while laughing joyfully and whistling. He thought to himself, how lucky to have encountered two fools. Su Yuanjun, seeing the star crystal and King Monkey's teeth stolen right before his eyes, went mad with nowhere to vent his anger. He grabbed a knife and threw it straight at his teammate, shouting angrily, "Useless, the three of you let one person steal everything." Xiao Hong stood outside, watching the scene unfold, along with his teammates behind him, all of them gaping in astonishment. They stammered, "A Zhou brother has stolen again. This is what martial artists are like, fast as the wind." Zhou Zhang hid behind a tree, observing the group searching the forest for him. He silently thought, "I can't escape now." To prevent a situation like Luo Tianyi's from happening, his gaze suddenly turned sharp as a knife, and his face darkened. He looked at the people in front of him and thought to himself, "Anyone who has seen my appearance will not survive." Zhou Zhang hid in the branches of a tree, watching Su Yuanjun and his teammates combing through every patch of grass, searching for the nameless brat who had stolen the star crystal and King Monkey. After rummaging around for a while without finding anything, he questioned the subordinate behind him, "Are you sure that kid ran this way?" The subordinate replied confidently, "No doubt about it, although he is very fast, I can guarantee he came this way." Su Yuanjun frowned, his face darkened as he said, "I never expected someone could silently kill a 6th-level martial artist and, in such a short time, take all the valuable things from King Monkey. This person is not simple." The subordinate behind interjected, "That person seems to only be at level 4. Su Yuanjun was astonished, he couldn't believe it and asked the subordinate again, "Level 4? Su Yuanjun seemed to hear something, he raised his hand to signal the subordinates behind him to be quiet. Everyone fell silent, becoming alert. Su Yuanjun raised his hand, listening intently for a moment, and he wondered, "I can't hear any sound from him at all. How can a rank 4 martial artist run so fast?" While he was still puzzled, Zhou Zhang leaped down from the tree, holding a pair of throwing knives, a liquid spraying out. In the blink of an eye, he had closed in behind Su Yuanjun's subordinates. Before they could regain their senses, his blade had already taken the lives of those subordinates. He moved like a gust of wind, unleashing techniques that were invisible to the naked eye. The sky was overcast, and flocks of crows, startled by something unknown, took flight into the sky. At this moment, only Su Yuanjun and a subordinate remained. The man surnamed Su, furious, yelled at Zhou Zhang, "Who the hell are you?" Zhou Zhang looked at the two panicked figures before him and coldly replied, "You don't need to know." Suddenly, Su Yuanjun broke into a cunning smile, looking at him as he said, "Not wanting to speak is fine, just wait a moment, I have ways to make you talk." Zhou Zhang immediately used his invisibility technique, smirking as he said, "Oh really?" Su Yuanjun and his subordinate were thrown into confusion, shouting, "We've encountered a ghost." Zhou Zhang closed in behind Su Yuanjun and slit his throat, coldly stating, "What does knowing so much matter to a man about to die?" After dealing with all the lackeys of that young Su, he leisurely sat down on a stone, tossing a pouch of money up and down in his hand, cheerfully saying, "There's quite a bit of money here." He then looked towards the depths of the forest, still needing to handle the remaining stragglers. At that moment, the Zhanhu squad had been defeated by the Inverse Wind Guild. Leader Yang, exhausted, collapsed to the ground, but the subordinate of the Inverse Wind Guild surrounded him. He regrettably said, "Brothers, I'm sorry, I can't help you." Before Leader Yang could finish his sentence, the subordinate of the Inverse Wind Guild hastily took his head, and thus, Leader Yang met his end. Xiao Hong looked at the scene before him, sighing in regret, "The Zhanhu team is doomed like this." Zhou Zhang, who had returned and stood behind him without him noticing, coldly said, "Not just Zhanhu." Xiao Hong jumped in surprise and exclaimed, "Zhou brother, you're back." He looked at the fallen young leader and then at the subordinates of the Inverse Wind Guild, coldly continuing, "Today, the heaven-defying society must also disappear." Xiao Hong seemed to realize something, his face filled with fear as he stammered, "Could it be that their leader Su Yuanjun has been taken down by you?" At that moment, Zhou Zhang raised his hand to count 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. Zhou Zhang turned to his subordinates holding guns and said, "Cover me, brothers, wait a moment before firing." The subordinate replied, "Okay." Xiao Hong was sweating profusely as he watched him. The subordinates of Su Yuanjun were resting on the stone nearby, looking at the pile of corpses in front of them. One of them remarked, "Yang Yinghua is indeed tough to deal with." Another subordinate asked, "Why hasn't the leader returned yet after so long?" At that moment, Zhou Zhang stepped out from the bushes, slowly approaching the group. One subordinate shouted, "Look over there, that kid has robbed our king monkey clean." Another one questioned, "Wasn't the leader supposed to be hunting him down? Why is he back here?" A member of the group said, "Don't worry about that, look at the elven bow in his hand." Seeing the elven bow in Zhou Zhang's hand, a weapon that channels high-level power, the faces of the subordinates immediately showed greed. A savage laugh echoed, "This time we're going to get rich." While they were still pleased with their thoughts, Zhou Zhang drew his bow, aimed directly at the subordinates, and shot 3 arrows. The arrows, infused with spiritual power, shot straight ahead, catching them off guard and forcing them to retreat a few steps. The arrows hit their targets, sending them flying several meters away. One subordinate shouted, "Be careful." They all rushed forward, attacking Zhou Zhang. Zhou Zhang quickly knocked 3 more arrows. One member of the group saw this and shouted, "Do you think I'm that easy to deal with?" Just as he finished speaking, a bullet suddenly flew in from somewhere. He was startled and quickly reacted, using his sword to block it, causing the bullet to change direction. The members of the Inverse Wind Guild quickly fell back, backing up against each other, reminding one another tensely, "Everyone be careful, he's not acting alone. He has accomplices." Zhou Zhang turned his head towards the bushes where Xiao Hong was hiding. He gave a thumbs up and said with a smile, "Great coordination." Xiao Hong laughed heartily, "I've been wanting to deal with these bastards for a long time." At that moment, outside the edge of the forest, the assassin Lu Yongshan had chased them all the way here. Xiao Jian wiped the gun in his hand and asked Yongshan curiously, "Shan brother, don't we need to go inside?" Lu Yongshan puffed on a cigarette, shaking his head while exhaling a long stream of smoke. He replied leisurely, "It's not necessary, with their strength, they won't go deep before turning back." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Yongshan stood up abruptly, looking into the distance, "They're coming." Xiao Jian caressed the barrel of the gun and flashed a terrifying smile, "Watch me." After this battle, Zhou Zhang gathered a pile of spoils. The subordinates behind him looked at him, marveling, "Zhou brother is too strong, he can take down 5 people by himself. This is the first time I could shoot freely at high-level martial artists." Xiao Hong turned to look at Zhou Zhang, thanking him, "This time it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, we might not have collected so much." Zhou Zhang smiled shyly, waving his hand as if to say it was nothing. He also praised Xiao Heng's team, "Your team coordinated very well too." Before he could finish his sentence, Zhou Zhang felt a dangerous aura lingering around. His face turned serious, and he immediately used his invisibility technique to dash toward Xiao Hong, pushing him out of the way. Mr. Xiao Hong looked back in confusion, "Zhou brother, flash." As soon as the two left, a bullet with an immense destructive force suddenly shot straight towards the spot where Xiao Hong and Zhou Zhang had just stood. Zhou Zhang ordered everyone to hide behind the ancient trees. He reminded them, "Be careful, someone is aiming right at us." On the other side, Xiao Jian used the scope of his sniper rifle to search everywhere, his face showing immense anger because Zhou Zhang managed to evade his attack. Xiao Jian cursed, how could he possibly escape? Lu Yongshan looked toward the place where Zhou Zhang had just been standing, furrowing his brow in deep thought for a moment before suddenly recalling something. He spoke to Xiao Jian, "This kid." Zhou Zhang turned around to discuss with everyone, "You all stay hidden, I'm going over there to take a look." Xiao Hong anxiously looked at him and reminded, "Zhou brother, be careful." With that, Zhou Zhang dashed out, using his agility skills to stealthily maneuver through the branches towards Xiao Jian and Lu Yongshan. Lu Yongshan, seeing him hiding among the trees, slowly drew a mirror from his waist and said, "He's coming." Xiao Jian raised an eyebrow, surprised, not expecting him to take the initiative to come to his death. Lu Yongshan jumped down from the cliff to intercept Zhou Zhang. Xiao Jian looked at Shan brother, frowned, and contemptuously said, "He's just a rank 4 martial artist, do we really need to be that afraid? Today, you will see who is truly suited to be a killer." Xiao Jian carried a sniper rifle and ran after Lu Yongshan. Shan laughed disdainfully when he heard Xiao Jian say that and replied, "If you enjoy putting on a show like that, you can take the first fight." At the same time, Zhou Zhang was standing on a nearby tree branch observing the conversation. He muttered to himself about the two. Zhou Zhang smiled slyly, recited an incantation, and his body began to turn invisible. Xiao Jian, holding a dagger in his hand, rummaged through every patch of grass looking for clues. He looked puzzled and said, "Why is there no one around here?" Suddenly, Zhou Zhang appeared behind him. He looked at him with cold eyes, then glanced at the martial artist who came into view before Xiao Jian, a level 6 martial artist, who was overly confident in himself. "Unfortunately for you, you have encountered me, Xiao Jian, also a level 6. Lu Yongshan suddenly appeared before him from the depths of the forest. The name Lu Yongshan. His face briefly displayed surprise as he looked at Lu Yongshan, and memories of the past started flooding back. Lu Yongshan stood on a branch, holding a long sword, and looked at him and another teammate, laughing loudly, saying, "None of you are leaving today." Fragments of broken memories continued to emerge in his mind until a scene appeared. Del Chat GPT Del. Amidst the blazing inferno, Zhou Zhang's comrade looked at him with a regretful gaze, his voice tinged with sorrow. "Xiao Zhang, try to keep living." Zhou Zhang stared intently at the name Lu Yongshan in front of him. The rage he had suppressed for so many years suddenly erupted with ferocity. He roared, "The grudge from Wei City, I'll make you pay back tenfold." Xiao Jian was busy searching when he suddenly froze, feeling as though someone was standing behind him. He spun around quickly, scanning his surroundings, but saw no one except for a few grasshoppers hopping about. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead as he thought to himself, "Why do I feel a chill down my spine? Could I be mistaken?" He glanced around, only to meet Zhou Zhang's piercingly cold eyes. A malicious thought flashed through his mind, "If they want to play, I'll play along." Zhou Zhang dispelled his stealth technique, landing lightly in front of Xiao Jian. Xiao Jian immediately assumed a fighting stance, his vigilant gaze fixed firmly on Zhou Zhang. Gripping the knife in his hand tightly, he slowly advanced toward Zhou Zhang. A cruel thought gleamed in his mind, with just one strike, I can kill him. But just as he lifted his foot to lunge forward, his body froze in place. His legs refused to move, as if bound by an invisible force. Panic and fear etched across Xiao Jian's face. He gritted his teeth, his worried eyes locked on Zhou Zhang, who stood there with an enigmatic smile. Stammering, unable to hide his terror, he muttered, "Why? Why can't I move my body?" Zhou Zhang raised his hand, curling a finger toward Xiao Jian as if beckoning a dog. The gesture was laden with contempt, startling Xiao Jian. He hadn't expected his presence to be discovered. Gritting his teeth, Xiao Jian charged recklessly. The sword in his hand erupted in fierce flames, the fire reflecting the madness in his eyes. He shouted, his voice brimming with hatred, "Just go die already." Facing him, Zhou Zhang merely smirked coldly. As Xiao Jian swung his flaming sword down, Zhou Zhang casually stepped aside, effortlessly dodging the attack. The blade crashed heavily into the ground, sending dried leaves and dirt flying into the air. Xiao Jian stood stunned, his face a mix of disbelief and confusion. How could he dodge my attack so easily? Fear began to creep into his eyes, growing more evident with every passing moment. At that instant, he felt as if death was looming over him. Zhou Zhang moved like a shadow, appearing and disappearing with ghostly precision. He launched a series of counterattacks, each one deliberate and razor-sharp. Blood splattered through the air with a single devastating strike from Zhou Zhang. Stepping back gracefully, Zhou Zhang's cold gaze fixed on Xiao Jian, who now teetered on the brink of collapse. Xiao Jian's sword slipped from his hand, the metallic clang as it hit the ground resonating heavily in the tense silence. He dropped to his knees, blood pouring from his wounds as he groaned in agony. Hidden in the nearby grass, Lu Yongshan held his breath, observing the scene in shock. His mind raced. In just moments, Zhou Zhang unleashed such terrifying counterattacks, reducing Xiao Jian to this state. Xiao Jian clutched his head in pain, rolling on the ground as he screamed, "Ah! Ah! No! Don't kill me!" Lu Yongshan stood watching, sweat soaking his back, having incapacitated a level 6 martial artist with a single blow. Zhou Zhang looked at Xiao Jian, who lay unconscious on the ground, then turned to the bushes behind him, stating that Lu Yongshan was hiding there. He coldly said, "Lu Yongshan, the world is indeed very small, tens of thousands of people in Wei City are waiting for you to reunite with them." Lu Yongshan's eyes widened, a drop of sweat rolling down his face to the ground. He realized he had been discovered. At that moment, Zhou Zhang stood next to a corpse lying on the ground and said, "Lu Yongshan, there's no need to hide anymore." Lu Yongshan, who had been crouching in the tree, was startled by Zhou Zhang's voice. Then, Zhou Zhang's expression darkened as he continued walking and said, "When I was still an intern martial artist, I could save her from your grasp. Now that I am level 4, do you think a level 7 can kill me? There are many things in this world that you won't understand even if it costs you your life." Hearing this, Lu Yongshan's face turned pale with fear, and his face was now drenched in cold sweat. With a greenish complexion, Lu Yongshan jumped down from the tree, still holding his sword. Lu Yongshan approached the spot where Zhou Zhang had stood earlier, but Zhou Zhang had now disappeared. He thought to himself, "Not here anymore, he couldn't have run away, could he? No, that's not right. What is this feeling of being targeted?" As if sensing an ominous presence, a pair of blood-red eyes filled with killing intent appeared behind Lu Yongshan. His entire body emanated a bluish glow, and his face turned pale. Then, a dark shadow swept past from behind Lu Yongshan. A bit startled, he swung his sword backward and shouted, "Zhou Zhang, I know you are nearby, show yourself." 10 minutes later, Lu Yongshan was still searching for Zhou Zhang. He was moving about while using considerable force to slash down many trees in the forest. After becoming excessively tired, he stopped, panting heavily, and said, "Could it be that brat has fled? Is he just putting on a show?" Exhausted, Lu Yongshan crumpled to the ground, gasping for breath. He used his sword as a support. Lu Yongshan continued, "Damn it, I didn't expect to be scared off by a rank 4 martial artist to the point of not daring to take action." Zhou Zhang was hiding somewhere, observing Lu Yongshan's every move. He thought to himself, "Waiting is the moment when you let your guard down." Unbeknownst to Lu Yongshan, Zhou Zhang launched himself downward, employing the flash technique, his entire body shone in deep blue, with his eyes glowing brightly as he descended from behind Lu Yongshan. Zhou Zhang, after using his knife, struck directly at Lu Yongshan's shoulders. At this point, Lu Yongshan had already sensed the attack and swung his sword backward to strike Zhou Zhang. However, with his skills, Zhou Zhang jumped up and executed a flip in mid-air. After landing, Lu Yongshan looked up in sheer fear, while Zhou Zhang activated the bone-changing technique. Both fighters leapt backwards simultaneously. Lu Yongshan sneered, "Not bad for a sneak attack, but unfortunately, it's useless." Zhou Zhang and Lu Yongshan now stood at considerable distance apart. Zhou Zhang wiped his hands and calmly said, "Ever heard of the ghost-faced spider?" Lu Yongshan's expression faltered for a moment, but he quickly retorted, "What are you talking about?" Facing a visibly fatigued Lu Yongshan, Zhou Zhang spoke again, his tone unhurried, "It just so happens that I acquired some of the ghost-faced spider's venom, and conveniently applied a little to this blade." Lu Yongshan's eyes widened in shock. "Poison?" he exclaimed. Suddenly, his legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. Zhou Zhang stepped closer, his voice cold and steady. "When I think about the innocent people you've slaughtered, and my father among them, I realize I shouldn't let you die so quickly." As Lu Yongshan struggled on the ground, Zhou Zhang sat down on a nearby rock, speaking casually, "But I know your kind won't give up any useful information. No matter, I'll figure out who sent you soon enough." Meanwhile, in a quiet noodle shop, the voice of a customer called out, "Boss, another bowl of noodles, please." In the same noodle shop, Zhou Zhang sat across from Xiao Hong, continuing their conversation. "Xiao Hong, it must have been hard on you all handling the equipment and fur this time. Let's use star crystals to split the shares first." Xiaohan, ever humble, replied, Brother Zhou, no need to be so formal. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have achieved anything this time.